The chair recognizes the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Boustany, for 5 minutes. Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday we had a very vigorous debate about the unsustainable debt that our country is facing, and we passed a bill, the Cut, Cap, and Balance bill. And that bill was really the only one that's been on the table, House or Senate, so far. So we ask in the Senate, where's their proposal? We asked the White House, give us a proposal that the Congressional Budget Office can actually give us a score on how we're going to do this. We need legislative language to move forward on these things. We can't just base on speeches, as it has been said yesterday. Mr. Speaker, I believe this country is at a very pivotal point in its history. There's no question about it. We're at a pivotal point. We can decide, is the United States going to lead in the 21st century as it did in the 20th century and in the 19th century, or will we be swallowed in a sea of red ink, high unemployment, and very sluggish growth? That is the basic fundamental problem we're faced with today. And it's within our power in Congress to make policy decisions that will change this equation for the good or the bad for the American people. We have decisions to make, and it's time. Tough decisions. It's time to make those decisions. Now, yesterday we debated the unsustainable debt problem that this country is facing. A situation that is going to swallow up savings for every single American. Currently, $46,000 for every man, woman, and child in this country. And it's rising. And that doesn't count the unfunded liabilities. So the debt is clearly a problem. And we have to set the country on a sustainable path with a credible plan to move us forward. But there's another side to the problem that's not being talked about enough. And it's the fact that we are not growing this economy. We are not growing private sector jobs. And the previous speaker from Connecticut, my friend from Connecticut, talked about the plight of so many who are without jobs. We have to grow this economy if we're going to create jobs. And that means having a well-thought-out energy strategy for the United States. It means fundamental tax reform to put us on a very competitive footing, whether it's a small business or a large U.S. company. And it also means a very aggressive trade strategy for the United States. Now, I want to talk about trade for a minute because it really does not get enough discussion here in this body. I got some very encouraging news just last week from the World Trade Center of New Orleans in my home state. It released some quarterly trade figures. And in the first quarter of fiscal year 2011, exports from Louisiana manufacturers and farmers grew by almost 50% compared to the previous period last year. This is incredible news because Louisiana is rapidly transforming its economy into a global trading economy that helps our farmers, helps our manufacturers. We sell to the world. We create private sector jobs that pay better than the average jobs around the United States. 1 out of 5 jobs in Louisiana is related to international trade where we export. This is critical, and if we're going to grow this country and grow private sector jobs, we need a trade strategy in place to do this, to help it, to open markets overseas for our farmers, our manufacturers, our small businesses. We're seeing rapid growth in Asia and South America right now, all based on trade. Hundreds of trade agreements have been basically voted upon in these countries and implemented, regional trade agreements. Here in the United States, it's been 4 years and no activity. We have 3 pending agreements right now. Panama, Colombia, South Korea. 3 agreements. These will basically open markets in countries that are already having pretty much unfettered access into our market. These will create, by the President's own estimate, 250,000 jobs in this country. Those are direct jobs in the short term. That doesn't even speak to the number of jobs that will be created going forward. It is critically important that we move forward on this. $13 billion in exports from these 3 agreements alone. Exports, these are American companies, American farmers selling their goods overseas. This will stimulate growth in this economy and job creation. This is why we need to move forward on it. But there are other important aspects of this. These 3 agreements were negotiated in good faith. And so just like the full faith and credit of the United States is on the line with regard to dealing with our debt problem, Our credibility internationally is on the line as to whether we're going to be a leader in this world, or we're just going to sit back and shrink and see high unemployment and sluggish job growth and a lost opportunity for our children and grandchildren. That's what's at stake with this. These three trade agreements need to be done now. The President could easily send these to Congress, and we can vote on them. That's what we need to do. That's a step forward to restore American competitiveness, to restore American credibility, and to restore American confidence. Come on, Mr. President, lead. I yield back.